Family, friends and furry creatures, Tom Gates. When I was at Derek's house, Rooster must have slept on my sweatshirt because it looks like half his fur coat's on it now. Normally it wouldn't bother me, but this is an extreme fur situation. I know that if Mum and Dad see, they'll start saying things like, "You know Delia's allergic to fur, don't you? Why did you let Rooster jump on you? Can't you just stay out of his way?" Which is impossible. I'd rather stay out of Delia's way, as Rooster's a lot more fun to hang out with. I try and shake some fur off, but then I remember a trick that Mum does using bits of sticky tape wrapped around her hand. So I get some tape and start patting my sweatshirt up and down like it's a good dog. I use up half a roll of tape trying to get it to work, but most of Rooster's hair is still on the sweatshirt, so I give up. Sigh. There are bits of furry tape everywhere now. I'm about to get rid of them when an idea pops into my head. So I make these my very own furry creatures. I'm a recycling genius. Here's a quiz. Is this a furry creature or a furry creature? You decide. No peeking, answers on the next page. Furry creature. Haha, it's Mr. Fullerman with furry new hair. I have style. Who knew bits of tape and fur could be so useful? I did. I had even more fun sticking some around the house as well. In the bathroom. Tom! Which Mum isn't too pleased about. This seems like a good time to do something else that's very important. Here is a list of things I don't want to do, in no particular order. Things I don't want to do. 1. Wear these shoes to school because they have started to make odd noises when I walk. 2. Be late into class. See number 3 for reason why. 3. Miss out on the latest prize for Mr. Fullerman's new chart. It's fine to be on time. New chart, new prize. Mr. Fullerman told us it's not great to be late. It was a big success. So there's another prize for the winners of this chart. This will be the last one we do though. I really want to win the book tokens and whirly bar this time. I bet if Mr. Fullerman can think of something else that rhymes with time or late, he'll do another chart. My list continued. 4. Go anywhere near Amber Tully-Jones, who has a stinking cold and keeps sneezing. It's yuck. 5. Forget to bring my baby picture for the new school photo. I don't really want to bring any of my baby pictures into school, ever, but Mr. Fullerman said that if we forget them, he'll send a reminder email to our parents, which will be far worse because Mum checks her emails a lot, and straight away she'll go and find the most embarrassing baby picture she can. This one's sweet. Mum, look how cute you are on the potty, Tom. Me, don't send that one. Mum, too late. I can see it now. Writing a list is the easy bit. Trying to follow the list is turning out to be a lot harder than I expected. I tell Mum that I can't wear my shoes anymore because they've started to make embarrassing noises. Every time I take a step, a horrible sound comes out of my shoe. Really? Mum says, yes. I thought it was funny at first, but not anymore. What were you doing? Mum wants to know. Just walking. Look, I'll show you. I put on the shoes to demonstrate how bad the noise really is by stomping up and down in the kitchen. I want Mum to hear the full rasping humiliation I had walking home. Wait for it, I tell her. Mum waits. I can't hear anything, Tom, she says, like I am making a big fuss about nothing. Honestly, they were really noisy, but the only thing we can both hear is me stomping up and down in the kitchen and Mum sighing. I might as well be wearing a pair of fluffy slippers. Jumping up and down doesn't help much either. Mum puts the note in an envelope and pops it into my bag while I rush and grab all my stuff. Then I sit down and reluctantly put on my shoes. Have you got anything? Mum asks. Yep, I have. Everything. You haven't forgotten anything important? No. Come on, let's go, Derek, I say to Derek. Bye. We both take a deep breath and start running to school. At first my shoes were okay, but with every step the noise gets louder. Rasp! What is that noise? Derek asks me. My shoes, just ignore them, I tell him, which gets harder to do for both of us. Rasp! Rasp! My shoes keep making horrible rasping noises all the way to school. Kids are pointing at me and people are staring down at my feet while I pretend that nothing is happening at all. Shoes! Check out those shoes! What's that? rasp, rasp, rasp. They're really noisy, aren't they? Derek says, like I didn't know that already. But then I remember my gym shoes. I forgot. I brought spare shoes and a note. I'll put them on right now. I'm so glad Mum suggested I bring them. I tip out the entire contents of my bag onto the floor. Straight away, Derek can tell something is wrong from the look on my face. What have you forgotten? He asks as I shake out my bag some more. Everything. I've got no gym shoes, no note, no baby picture. So much for trying to stick to my list. Oh, why do I always forget stuff? I sigh. Derek tries to be helpful and makes a few suggestions. You could try putting your socks over your shoes. That might stop the noises. Or why don't you just walk on in a different way, like tiptoes? Mr. Sprocket opens the door and begins ringing the bell for the start of the day. Ding, ding! I follow Derek inside, on tiptoes, and I'm still rasping. Just not as loudly as before. It's working, I whisper. Maybe nobody will notice my shoes. After all, that's what I'm thinking, right up until I get to the corridor, when everything changes. Caretaker Stan must have spent hours polishing up the wooden floors last night, because as my super noisy shoes touches the super shiny floor, I make an even more spectacular sound, and not in a good way. Rasp! Everyone looks at me. Ew, was that you? No, it's my shoes, I say frantically while pointing at my shoes. I make the noise again and try to prove it wasn't me. Rasp! The kids all say, Tom, and lurch away from me. Shoes, it's my shoes. I keep shouting, which doesn't help much. Brad Galloway thinks it's really funny and makes things worse by saying, go on, do it again. Make that noise. I can see Mrs. Worthington looming towards me, looking a bit fierce. She's saying, what's going on? Who's making all that noise? Before she finds out it's me, I decide to take off my shoes and socks and make a run for it instead. Trying not to get my toes squashed by oncoming kids isn't easy, but I make it to the classroom in one piece. Now all I have to do is get to my desk without Mr. Fullerman spotting my bare feet. How hard can that be? Mr. Fullerman sees everything. Very. I glance down at my shoes for a second, just to check they are still there, when Amber Tully-Jones walks straight into me with her eyes closed. A tissue! And sneezes. Sorry, Tom, I didn't see you. Mr. Fullerman wants us to line up outside. At least she has a tissue, which is something. She splutters past as the rest of my class begin to file out behind her, forcing me to protect my feet even more. Tom! Norman waves at me and wants to show off his dance moves on the super shiny floor. What's this? He says, before I can say anything. No, Norman, my feet! He's already spinning. On his fourth spin, Norman gets dizzy and falls into a heap on the floor, right by my feet. Where are your shoes? He asks. Shh! I have shoes. They're just very noisy. I'll put them back on when I'm in class, I whisper, trying not to bring attention to my bare feet. The mistake I make is whispering, because kids pay way more attention to what you're saying when you whisper. That's just a basic school rule. Norman keeps on staring at my feet, which makes everyone else look at them too. Why have you got bare feet? Marcus wants to know. I have shoes. They're just in my bag, I whisper again. Another mistake. Aren't your feet cold? Amy asks me. You've got bare feet, Solon notices. Who's got bare feet? Tom has. Why have you got bare feet? That's strange. Is it No Shoes Day? Did I forget No Shoes Day? There isn't a No Shoes Day. Then why has Tom got no shoes on? I don't know. Ask him. Shh! Enough about my shoes, I try to say as my shoe news travels all the way up the queue, all the way back down to Mr. Fullerman, who immediately tells me to put my shoes back on. But sir, they were making funny noises, I try to explain. Shoes on now, Tom, he says, like I've no choice. I don't. While I'm doing as I told, Mr. Fullerman says, thank you, Class 5F. I'm just sorting out a table for your school project. So line up quietly and get your lovely baby photos ready. I can't wait to see them. Mr. Fullerman looks at me like he already knows that I've left my picture at home, which makes me feel a bit awkward. I start shuffling my feet from side to side. Another mistake. The shoe rasp. It makes A quiet one, luckily, so Mr. Fullerman misses it. Marcus doesn't. Oh, it was my shoe, I tell him. I don't want to spend the rest of the day rasping every time I move, so I try sliding my feet along the floor while not lifting them up or down. I do a few practice moves while waiting to go into class. The good news is no sound comes out, which is a result. I stay in the sliding position until Mr. Fullerman calls us back in. You look like a twit. Thanks. Come on, Class 5F. As I'm facing the wrong way, I let the kids go past me. Marcus wants me to hurry up. Come on, Tom. After you, I say, as she shoves me past and right into Amber Tully-Jones, who sneezes again. I'm nicely protected by Marcus. Result. Achoo! I carry on sliding my feet along the floor, one after the other, which all seems to be working. As I slide into class, the first thing I see on the table is full of interesting stuff. Mr. Fullerman has set out loads of craft objects like sticky tape, stars, papers, pencils and glue, all for us to use in our new projects. My sliding is useful for taking a good look as I glide past. I'm not the only one doing it either. The looking bit, not the sliding. I can hear Marcus saying, that zigzag tape would be perfect for my school project, which is very annoying because I like that tape as well. Along with setting out the craft table, Mr. Fullerman has also written on the board, today we'll be starting our new school projects. Please get out your baby pictures ready to put up. My lack of baby picture is going to be another problem. I can tell I'm trying to think of a good excuse when a brilliant idea leaps into my head. I do a drawing of me as a baby, then I write underneath, real photo coming soon. This will have to do for now. Where's your photo, Tom? Marcus asks me. I forgot it, but I'm thinking this drawing will be okay for now. You're thinking, Tom? Yes, Marcus, you should try it sometime. Are you thinking right now, Tom? Because I can smell burning, Marcus says and sniffs the air. This is not the first time Marcus has done this joke, and I always pretend not to understand it. You smell of burning, I say seriously. No, not me, you. I don't smell, so it must be you. No. It works every time and drives him crazy. I can smell burning because your head is wooden and you're thinking, get it? No. Marcus doesn't give up and keeps trying to explain his joke to me. Ha! Can everyone hold up their baby pictures so I can come and collect them? Here goes. Sir, Tom doesn't have a baby photo, Marcus tells Mr. Fullerman helpfully. That's true, but I do have a very good drawing instead, I explain. Mr. Fullerman tells me he'll send an email home to make sure I don't forget my photo tomorrow, which I think is a terrible idea. No, sir, I promise I won't forget, I shout him as I have my hand over my drawing. Hopefully I've done enough to persuade Mr. Fullerman not to send an email home. Phew. He pins all the photos of my drawing. Can you tell who's who as a baby? He asks us. Even from a distance, I can tell that some kids haven't changed at all. Ha! That baby picture just looks like Mr. Fullerman, I say out loud. That's because it is him, Amy tells me. I knew that. I didn't. Which one is Mr. Fullerman? Marcus wants to know. Are you serious? Can't you tell? Amy says. She's got a point. Baby Tom. Class 5F photos. So far, no one has asked why I've been sliding around instead of walking. I've managed to avoid making any more embarrassing shoe noises, which is a good thing. Quiet shoes, avoiding Marcus, is almost impossible, especially as I sit next to him. What's with the weird sliding you were doing? It's my shoes. They're making funny noises when I walk. So I'm sliding. No big deal. Is that why you took your shoes off? Yep. I try to do some more drawing, but Marcus keeps talking to me. So, why are your shoes making weird noises? I don't know, but that's why I'm sliding everywhere. Can you show me? Go on, Tom. Not now. I ignore Marcus right until he treads on my foot. Ow! Sorry, I just want to hear your noisy shoes. If you stay off my foot, I'll try and make a noise. Just once, but stop bothering me, okay? Sure. Go on, make the noise. I try to do it softly, but nothing happens, so I put my foot down a bit harder. Rasp! Mr. Fullerman spins round to see where the noise is coming from. I turn and look at Marcus like it's his fault, which it kind of is. Marcus, please don't scrape your chair. Mr. Fullerman says crossly. He hates the sound of scraping chairs. It's one of the noises that drives him crazy. Marcus tries to explain that it wasn't him, but Sir, which doesn't work because Mr. Fullerman has already moved on and is writing on the board. What did you do that for? Marcus grumbles at me. Because you asked me to. He looks so annoyed that I almost feel like making the noise again, just for fun. I don't know. Well, not straight away. I try my very best to keep my feet completely still and stay really quiet, but sometimes my best just isn't good enough. My shoes rasp when 1. Mr. Fullerman calls the register. Rasp. 2. When I'm walking down the corridor. Rasp. 3. And when Mr. Fullerman asks a question, does anyone know the answer? Rasp. Shoes. Mr. Fullerman comes over to my desk and looks at my shoes. Is it you making those noises, Tom? Sort of, sir. It's my shoes. That's why I took them off outside. But you told me to put them back on, so I did. And now they won't stop making that noise. I do it again, and everyone in the class starts to laugh. Rasp! Ah, ha, ha, ha. See, it wasn't me making those noises, Marcus says, wanting to get his point over as usual. Okay, Marcus, Mr. Fullerman says, then adds, now, as for you, Tom, which doesn't sound good at all, but then he sends me down to the school office to see if I can get a pair of gym shoes to wear, just for today. They keep sneaky spares, so there is no excuse for missing PE. No shoes, sir. No shoes and no PE. Yes, you can. Mrs. Mumble says the only pair I have in your size is these. She holds up some very bright white gym shoes. I pretend to be dazzled by the light of them. Ah! I can't see! Too bright! Can't see! Which I think is funny. Mrs. Mumble doesn't share my sense of humour. Just take the shoes, Tom, and hurry up back to class. Don't forget to bring them in on Monday. Yes, Mrs. Mumble. I wear my bright white gym shoes back to class. I'm dazzled by the white shoes joke doesn't seem quite so funny when Marcus does it every time he sees me. The light! Your shoes are too bright. The glare! Marcus will eventually get bored of being dazzled, I hope. My shoes noises have been a bit of a distraction from the new school project until now. Mr. Fullerman hands out a batch of worksheets that are supposed to help us get everything finished in time for the school open day, which isn't far away. I take a quick look to see what it is we have to do. The good thing about these worksheets is I can already see there are loads of bits I can skip over or leave out altogether. Write about my family won't take too long. Not if I do it like this. Here's my mum, here's my dad, here's my sister who's weird. See what I mean? It's easy. The worksheets doesn't say we should interview as many of your family members as you can, but that'll take ages, so I cross that out. As I'm carefully working out what I can do for my project, Mr. Fullerman claps his hands to get our attention. Class 5F, it might seem like there's lots of worksheets. Some of you might try and skip interview your family and friends. Please don't, as you need to complete all the parts of the project. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, I have one. Are you a mind reader, Mr. Fullerman? I don't say that, but it's what I'm thinking, so he probably knows my question already. Just in case Mr. Fullerman can read my mind, so I decide to at least try and plan out what I'm going to do. So I look busy. Here are the 6 stages of me carefully working out. 1. Excitement about new project. Yeah! 2. Suddenly realisation it's a lot of work. Oh. 3. Mild panic. Checking out what everyone else is doing. 5. Getting an idea. Yes! Idea goes as soon as I get pen to paper. Go back to stage 3. Repeat. Amy spots the doodles and stuff I've been crossing out on my worksheets. I'm looking forward to this project, aren't you? She asks me, which is a surprise. Yes, sort of, I say in a not very convincing way. Then I lean back to relax. It's a bit because I've been working quite hard already. Which extra subjects are you going to write about then? Amy wants to know. What extra subjects? I ask. I missed that bit. The one Mr. Fullerman wants us to choose after we've done the worksheets. You need to pick anything you really enjoy doing, like a hobby. Then write about it for your project, she explains. Oh, that extra subject, I say, pretending I knew all along. I didn't. I might write about the penguins I adopted at the zoo, she says, which sounds way more interesting than anything I can think of. What shall I do, I wonder? There must be something you enjoy and are interested in, Amy sensibly points out. There is, but the only thing that keeps popping into my head is snacks and eating them. Of course, it's one of my favourite hobbies. I could write loads about the subject. I can see it now. Like, who wouldn't want to read all about snacks that I like, and some I don't? Tom Gates' Guide to Excellent Snacks. As I'm working out what my favourite snacks actually are, Mr. Fullerman walks past my desk and says, I'm not sure eating snacks counts as a hobby, Tom. Is there anything else you could write about? Have a think. I say, yes, sir, but I am a bit freaked out because Mr. Fullerman has already gone and done it again and read my mind. I nudge Amy and say, how does Mr. Fullerman always seem to know what I'm thinking? He's a mind reader. He's not, she tells me. He is, I try to convince her. No, he's really not, she says, and points out all the doodling I've been doing. I got carried away. My hobby is eating snacks. Wafer. Yummy snacks. Yum. Oh yeah, silly me, I say, trying to cover up how I had no idea I was writing and drawing my thoughts. It just happens. Can you two stop talking about snacks? It's making me hungry, Marcus grumbles. I'm only drawing a few snacks, that's all. Here, look, yummy snacks. I say, and waft my drawing under his nose. Not looking anyway. Mr. Fullerman said you need to pick a different subject, remember? I do, and now I'm hungry as well. I take a quick peek in my bag, hoping to find an emergency treat, but the only thing I get is a bit of furry tape. What's that? It looks disgusting, Marcus says, which gives me another idea. This is going to be the extra subject for my school project, I tell Marcus, who doesn't look very impressed at all. Yuck! I've already got a nice collection of these creatures at home, which will be a great start to my work. If Mr. Fullerman asks me why I've chosen to write about furry creatures, I'll say, because they're interesting and very inspiring, sir. It's the kind of answer teachers love to hear, especially if you use the word inspiring. Very good, Tom. I like finding out interesting facts from the school library about all kinds of different creatures as well. It's a good plan. So I tell Marcus my project's going to be called Family, Friends and Furry Creatures. That bit of tape doesn't look much like a furry creature to me, Marcus says. Not yet it doesn't, I agree. Now it does. Ha! I didn't show it to Marcus. After not being able to think of anything to do, I've suddenly got loads of ideas. I'm going to put them all in my project for sure, especially this one. How to turn someone into a creature. Step 1, do a drawing, not actual life size. Step 2, add a lot of fur. Result, I'm a furry creature. Is that one of your furry creatures? Marcus asks me, looking at my drawing. It is. My whole project will be full of them, I tell him. He doesn't recognise himself. This project is going to be a lot more fun than I thought. Mr. Fullerman claps his hands together again and says he's about to call us up one by one to choose something from the craft table. There's plenty to go around, so carry on working until you hear your name, he adds. Straight away, Marcus says, I really want that blue zigzaggy tape. I hope I get it. I hope he doesn't. I really want the zigzag tape too. Then I point out someone else might get it first. He hadn't thought of that, so I make a suggestion. If I get called up before you, I'll take the tape and share it with you. Then you can do the same for me, so we'll both get to have some. That's a good idea, isn't it? I don't know why I said that, because Marcus won't agree. Are you kidding? No way, he says. I knew it. Marcus isn't great at sharing, and even when he is, it's not usually anything nice. Here, you can share my tissue. I've only used it 10 times. No thanks. I'm hungry. Here, share my half-eaten apple that I licked a bit. Maybe not. Mr. Fullerman begins to call out names. I'm desperate to get chosen, so I put on my I'm good and concentrating face and being very good and sit up really straight. Sometimes if I do this face at home, Mum gets confused and thinks I'm in pain. So I try not to go too far as everybody wants to get picked, even Amy. Mr. Fullerman begins with, up you go, Trevor. Yes. Then Indrani. Yeah. Brad. Solid. He's calling everyone but me. There's only one thing I can do to make him call out my name. I close my eyes and think about being picked. Mr. Fullerman will read my mind and choose me, I hope. I'm thinking extra hard. Mr. Fullerman, please pick me. Pick me. Tom Gates, call my name. Me. It's exhausting. And it doesn't work. Amy, Florence, then Leroy. There's going to be nothing left by the time it's my turn. You're next, Marcus. No, not Marcus. Well, that's my tape gone then. I'll just have to find something else to use now, because Marcus will go on and on, boasting about it, and will drive me crazy. Finally, Mr. Fullerman calls out my name and says, "Well done, Tom, for being so patient," which is nice, but doesn't make up for being last. I go to the table and there's not much left for me to choose from. All the tape is gone, so I take some sticky stars and coloured paper. I sit down and straight away Marcus says, "Look what I've got." I don't want to see him how annoyed I am, so I say, "Great, good for you. Do you want some?" he asks. "Okay," I say suspiciously. I should have known better. Marcus tears off the tiniest bit of tape and gives it to me. "Don't use it all at once," he says, laughing. Marcus is hilarious. "Very funny. I like my stars anyway," I tell him. Then Amy makes a suggestion. "I'll give you some of my tape. For some of your stars," she says, which is very nice of her. Amy hands me a pencil with some of her tape round the top, and I let her take some of my stars. It's an excellent trade. "Thanks. This is great," I say. Marcus ignores me. He is arranging and admiring all his tapes when Mr. Fullerman comes over. "That's rather a lot of tape you've taken, Marcus." I agree. "Tom doesn't have any, so why don't you give him one of yours, please?" "But sir, Tom has stars, and now he has some tape." Mr. Fullerman just takes one and gives it to me, which makes me very happy, unlike Marcus. I will remember the look on Marcus's face forever. My tape! I don't get the zigzag one, but that's fine by me. To stop Marcus sulking for the rest of the day, I give him back the piece of tape he gave me and a few stars. "Don't use the tape all at once," I add. Ha ha ha! Ha ha! My starting project. Now I've got my own tape with spots. Thanks to Marcus, who still looks a little shocked, Mr. Fullerman wants to start planning out our projects by writing down some good questions to ask our family and friends when we do our interviews. I'm not sure what a good question is. I can think of a few bad ones, like, "Do you like maths or double maths?" Neither. But that would just be a boring project, yawn. While I'm working out what to ask, I try out my new tape and add a few lines and stars, which are very useful. Marcus looks shocked now. My doodling actually helps me think of a few questions. List of interviewing questions to ask people. What's your favourite biscuit? Who wouldn't want to know that? Do you have any brothers or sisters that are really annoying? I won't ask Delia that question. 3. If you were in charge of everything for the day, what would you do? 4. What superpower would you like to have? 5. Tell me your top tip on how to avoid homework so I can use it. Just kidding, if Mum, Dad, Mr. Fullerman are reading this. My answers would be 1. A caramel wafer, followed closely by anything covered in thick chocolate or caramel anywhere. 2. Yes, I do have an annoying sibling. It's Delia. 3. If I was in charge, no school, obviously. Everything would be free and I could have my own pet when I wanted. 4. That's easy. Superpower. Who wouldn't want to fly? 5. I never avoid homework. I do it all the time. True. Writing down the questions and my answers gets me wondering what other things I could ask. I can use my school project as an excuse to find out stuff I wouldn't normally get away with from Mum and Dad. Things like, "You have 2 children. Who's your favourite?" "I'm not keen on sprouts or cabbages. Why do you bother giving me them?" "What's your idea of a perfect date and would it include visiting Uncle Kevin?" If the answer is yes to my last question, please explain why. I've been so busy writing questions and lists that I missed out on what Mr. Fullerman has been showing the rest of the class. Is everyone clear on how to start writing their own family tree? I've seen a worksheet called How to Start Your Family Tree, but it looked very confusing. Everyone else in my class seems to know what to do, so it can't be that hard to fill in. I find my own copy and take a look. I was right. It is confusing. I fill in as much as I can, then add my own extra bits. This is how you can start your family tree. You might want to add other family members like aunts, uncles. Not really. This is enough family for now. My family tree is going brilliantly when Marcus points it out and says, "You're not supposed to draw on that page, Tom." Oh well, I've made it more interesting. Then he asks me, "Don't you have a middle name?" No. I don't think so. Why? Mr. Fullerman said you have to write down the full names of everyone on your family tree. Didn't he, Amy? She nods. Oh, I don't know everybody's middle name, so I decided to leave them out. Or I could just make them up. Who'll know? Apart from me. Mum's parents, my grandparents, are a bit of a mystery, so I forget to have... Sometimes I forget I have 2 sets of grandparents, the fossils and the other ones. I can't remember much about them as they went away when I was little. Dad used to call them the Wrinklies, so I've written that down already. I'm trying to find out if Amy has a middle name, but I can't quite see, so I ask her, and she says, "I do. It's Amy J. Porter. What's yours?" "Tom, no name, Gates," I tell her. "Of course it is," Amy sighs and rolls her eyes. Then I notice Marcus has a middle name as well. I'm not sure how to say it, but I give it a go. Orin. Is that your middle name, Marcus? I wonder. Yes, I am an Orin, he tells me proudly, and I start to laugh, because it sounds like he just said, "I am an orange." What's so funny about that? I'm named after Orin Meldrew, who was a very important person in my family a long time ago. Every time Marcus says Orin, it makes me laugh. I can't help myself. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, Marcus, it just sounds like you're saying orange. I am an orange. That's not funny, Marcus tells me. It is a bit funny, I try and persuade him. But then Mr. Fullerman looks up at us from his desk and says, "Enough," is all he has to say, to keep us both quiet. I'm trying really hard not to think about oranges when I notice what Marcus's whole name spells out, which sets me off again. Mr. Fullerman's looking at us. "Did you know that all your names together make you, Mom?" I tell him quietly. Marcus looks at me in a very confused way, which is nothing unusual. "What do you mean, I'm a mom?" he repeated. "Marcus, for the M, Orin, for the O, Meldrew, for the M. See, you're a mom," I explain, and then I laugh because I'm thinking of an orange again. "Did you just say Marcus is a mom?" Amy asks me. "That's what his name says, see?" "Oh yes, so it does." "I'm not a mom or an orange." "Thank you very much," Marcus tells us both, even though he is. Now it's Amy's turn to look confused. "I'll explain later," I whisper. Mr. Fullerman stares at me. "I hope you're discussing your school project. If not, then shh." I go back to my family tree and add a few more doodles around it, which gives me a really good idea for another drawing. Who wouldn't want to see this? My family as trees. Break time. The first thing I do is go and find Derek to ask him if he's got a middle name as well. "I saw you coming from a distance thanks to those bright gym shoes," he says, which only encourages Marcus to do this joke again. "Can't see, shoes are too bright." He'll get bored eventually. Then Derek tells me he does have a middle name, which is news to me. I don't know why, but my parents call me Eric, so you're Derek Eric Fingal. I am. I don't use it so much, he says, and I can see why. Sounds a bit like a poem. Solid tells us that he's got a middle name too. I am Solomon Sam Stewart, and Norman does as well. Who knew? Mine's Norman Neil Watson. Am I the only person who doesn't have a middle name then? I ask my friends. They all nod. Yes. You should just make up your own name, Norman suggests. We spend the rest of break time thinking of middle names for everyone, even if they've got one already, just for fun. I could be Norman Watson. How about Solomon Jollyman Stewart? That's me. Tom, your middle name should be Tom Wooden Gates, Tom Metal Gates, Tom Garden Gates, Tom Little Gates, Tom Big Gates. How about Marcus Minnie Meldrew? I wonder what Mr. Fullerman's whole name is. Mrs. Mumble should be called Mrs. Crumble. Ha! Amy Water Porter. I've got one. Derek, you can be Derek Fish Fingal. And the best middle name ever is Tom Investor Gates. I'm quite glad I don't have a real one now. Back in class, we spend the rest of the day working on our school projects, which is unusual as we normally have to do other subjects as well, like maths. Mr. Fullerman stands up and says, I'm going to come round and see how you're all getting on with your family trees. I don't want to be the first this time, unlike with the craft table. That was different, so I keep really quiet and still and hope that Mr. Fullerman doesn't pick me. Don't pick me. Don't pick me. Which doesn't work. How's your family tree going, Tom? He asks. I show him the real one, not the picture of my family as trees. This is a good start, though I'm not sure your grandparents are called the Wrinklies, are they? I don't know their real names, I explain. My dad calls them that. Well, I'm sure your parents could help you fill in the names. I can add that to the email I'm sending them. Not the email home again. I thought I'd stop this happening already. This time I try saying how busy my parents always are. They don't have any time to read emails, sir, and it's mostly my sister's fault. Your sister? Yes, she's very difficult and takes up a lot of their time. I haven't really thought this excuse through, but it seems to be working, so I keep going. If my mum and dad are all stressy about Delia, I'll ask them to help me, I tell Mr. Fullerman, and he looks convinced. Okay, Tom, that's fine, he says, and moves to looking at Amy's and Marcus's projects. Phew. I think that worked. I'm going to use Delia for an excuse again, that's for sure. Delia ate my homework. Sorry I'm late, sir. It was all Delia's fault. Okay, Tom, I understand. The less Mum and Dad know about my project, the better. Otherwise, I won't get to have my relaxing weekend, and I'm really looking forward to that. After what feels like a very long day at school, I get home and find Mum's left a note on the table, along with a few other things too. I'm guessing Mr. Fullerman sent that email after all. I'm still not bringing any of these pictures she's picked out. Hi, Tom. Here's everything you forgot today. Mr. Fullerman says you need help with your family tree and another pair of non-noisy shoes. We'll do this at the weekend. See you later. Love, Mum. Dad's here in the shed. Mr. Fullerman. The weekend. When I wake up, my plan is to spend as much time as possible doing these things. 1. Relaxing. 2. Hanging out with Derek. 3. Eating the last crumpets. I've hidden them so Delia can't pinch them. Did you eat the last crumpet, Tom? Delia asks me. If you snooze, you lose, I tell her, in case she needs reminding how delicious crumpets are. Yum, yum. You are an idiot, she tells me, which is clearly not true. I think you find I'm actually very smart, I say, in between mouthfuls of crumpet. I can't wait to tell Derek how cross Delia is at missing out on a crumpet. Then Mum and Dad walk in, and the first thing Mum says is, right, which is never a good sign. She never follows it up with something like, nice, like, right, let's go and get some ice cream, or, right, you can watch TV for as long as you want. It's always, right, time for bed, Tom, or, right, let's cut your hair. This time she says, right, I've had an email about your school project and your shoes too. Mum holds up a piece of paper that's been printed off the computer. Subject, Tom's homework, brackets, and shoes. From Mr. Fullerman to Gates, Rita Gates, Frank. Sent Friday, 7:21 p.m. Dear Mrs. and Mrs. Gates, Tom's shoes were making unusually loud noises, so he's been lent a much quieter pair of gym shoes to wear. On Monday, he'll need to bring 1. The gym shoes back, 2. A non-noisy pair to wear, 3. A lovely baby picture for his school project. Tom's made an excellent start to his family tree, but needs a little help filling in some parts of it. Attached a list of all the work we'll be doing in case it gets lost. Tom seemed to think you would be far too busy to help him. I'm sure that's not the case. Thank you for your support. Kind regards, Mr. Fullerman. Mr. Fullerman mentioned your noisy shoes, so we'd better go and find you a pair this weekend. Okay, I say. I've got a list of everything you'll need to do for your school project, so you won't forget anything. Great, I sigh. Delia starts laughing because she can tell I'm not happy. I don't know why Mr. Fullerman thought we wouldn't have time to help you, Mum says. Getting emails from school is making it a lot harder to avoid work. He also wants us to help you finish off your family tree, says Mum. We never had projects like this when I was at school, Dad adds. Look at you, I mutter. I have no idea why Mum and Dad are taking so much interest in my school project. They don't normally, not like this anyway. You can do my project for me if you want, I tell them hopefully. Nice try, Tom. It will be good to get it done now, just in case, Dad says cheerily. In case of what? It's the weekend, and we're doing something special. Are we doing something special? I ask, as I can feel my relaxing weekend disappearing. Mum doesn't take any notice of me and says, let's see what you've done so far. I have to go get my project, or they won't let me go to Derek's. I'm sure about that. For some reason, Delia is still hovering in the kitchen like a dark cloud. You'd think she'd have something better to do, given half the chance. I wouldn't be here, I'd be with Derek. This school project doesn't have to be finished for a very long time, I tell Mum and Dad, so they know I don't have to do it today. So much time. They ignore me and start looking at my school project so far, especially my family tree. Interesting names, Tom, Dad tells me. Don't you know what your grandparents' real names are? Mum wants to know. I thought I did. Dad calls them the Wrinklies. Ha ha ha, the Wrinklies. I haven't heard that name for a while, Dad laughs. Then Delia butts in because she's still here. He was small and annoying when they left, so why would he remember anything? I thought he'd remember their names, Mum says. Hello, I am here, you know, and I do remember some things about them, just not everything, I say, because some memories are coming back to me. One in particular springs to mind. I can remember a very small dog they had. I always wanted to stroke it, but for some reason I wasn't allowed. I'll tell you why. That dog bit me once, and it used to bark all the time. Oh, yes, so it did. That's why we wouldn't let you stroke it, Tom. You let me, though, Delia tells Mum, proving to me that I was their favourite child, although I didn't say it out loud. Then Dad says, see, Rita, they do remember some things about your parents. I'm about to ask another question when Mum interrupts me. Do you know where your grandparents are? No, where the dog is now. It's not the question Mum's expecting. Oh, they couldn't take the dog travelling with them, so I'm sure they found a lovely new owner and home, which is a shame because we could have looked after it. Did you bite Delia then? Your grandparents will still send letters and postcards and keep in touch whenever they can. Which is not that much, Delia chips in. They don't really do modern technology, Mum tries to explain. Do you mean modern technology, like a phone? Dad mutters quietly. You know what I mean. They don't have mobiles and they can never remember people's numbers, so it's easier to write. When was the last time they sent a postcard, Dad asks. Last week, actually, and they sent a photo too. Of the dog? I ask, as they seem to like dogs. No, not a dog, but they have seen very interesting animals on their travels, Mum tells me. So, will they ever come back, I wonder? They didn't exactly say, but they might visit quite soon. They're missing home and all of us a lot, Mum says. Really? Dad laughs, like he doesn't quite believe it. Yes, Frank, that's what they said. Mum sounds like she's getting cross and a bit annoyed, so before she gets too cross, I throw in what I think is another important question. If they come back, does that mean I'll start to get to know them more? I hope so, Mum interrupts me again. Get more birthday presents with double grandparents and everything. Typical Tom, Delia says in the background. I'm just asking, that's all, I add. If they do come home, this would be a big bonus for me. They might even get another dog, which would be almost like having my own pet. I'd be able to take it for walks too. While I'm imagining a dog, Mum goes back to my school project. Let's get some work done, shall we? Who wants to see a picture of my parents then? We all do. Come on, Frank, you can help me find the picture, can I? Take the hint, Dad. Mum wants to talk to you, Delia tells him. We won't be long, Mum says as they leave. Mum's got something to say about her parents that she doesn't want us to hear, Delia says. She seems very sure about that. While they're going, I ask her more about the dog. When you got bitten by the dog, did it hurt? Of course it hurt. What kind of question is that? I'm only trying to find out what happened, that's all. Delia sounds more grumpy than usual, but I keep going and ask her something else. Why did our grandparents go away in the first place? If I tell you, don't go blabbing to Mum and Dad about it, okay? Okay, I have to agree, or she won't tell me anything. When you were a baby and only slightly less annoying than you are now, Delia starts to tell me, you're annoying as well, I remind her. Do you want me to carry on or not? Yes, go on then. They retired from teaching and sold up everything to go travelling, including their house, which Mum only found out about once they'd left. She thought they'd go for a few months. 7 years later, they're still away, having adventures all over the world, like swimming with sharks. We should go on adventure holidays. I'd love that, I say enthusiastically. I wouldn't. Remember when we stayed in the wrong mobile home for a week? That was bad enough, Delia reminds me. This is the longest Delia has ever spoken to me before. I know a bit more about my grandparents now, unless Delia's just making things up. She's done that before. Mum says you don't have to go to school. Really? Okay. Tom, why aren't you at school? Delia told me you said I didn't have to go. Now Delia starts being nosy about my project. Am I in your project then, Tom? Not much. I want good marks for it. Not very funny, Delia says. I'm not interviewing Uncle Kevin and Auntie Alice, and I'm leaving out the cousins completely, so you should be pleased you're in it at all. I don't want to make too much extra work for myself, I explain. I look at my family tree again, both versions, as Mum and Dad come back from their chat. Mum hands me a photo. This is an old picture of your grandparents, she tells me. They don't look how I expected it at all, especially after what Delia told me. I can't imagine them swimming with sharks. Is that the dog that bit Delia? I ask. It might be. This was taken before they both retired as teachers and set off around the world, Mum explains. I know. Delia said they sold their house and went off to have loads of amazing adventures. Which sounds amazing. Did you say that, Delia? Mum looks around, but Delia's already left. I forgot she didn't want me blabbing about it. Oh well. Then Dad joins in with the conversation. It's true, they did swim with sharks, but the sharks were more scared of them. He laughs while Mum gives him a look. Your dad's just being silly. Just in case, I'm going to leave some spare pages in my project and add other interesting stories I might find out about them, even if it is more work. So will they ever come home? I ask Mum and Dad. They might. You never know. It could be sooner than you expect, Mum tells me. In the meantime, we help you with your project, and I'll tell you some other good stories, like how your mum and I met. Groan. Then Mum says that word. Right. Can I go to Derek's house now? I ask quickly. Not yet, Tom. We need to finish off your family tree, then go out to get some non-noisy shoes. Sigh. Mum starts reading my homework and gets to the few lines I wrote about Delia. You might want to say something nicer about your sister here. Not really. It's all true. Then she writes down a list of names. Here's your grandparents' full names, and you can keep this photo too. Bark. Is that their surname? It used to be mine too. I didn't mind changing it, Mum tells me. There's another name missing that I really want to know, I ask. What's that? What was their dog called? It's an important question, I think, but no one can remember. Nipper? Fang? They carry on discussing my school project until Mum notices the time. She wants to go out and get me some non-noisy shoes. I do a good job of persuading Mum to ask Derek if Derek can come with me. Please, can I go and see him now? Sure, if Derek doesn't mind shoe shopping, it'll be helping me out. After all, he is my best friend. Shoe shopping? Are you kidding? I hate shoe shopping. Do I have to come with you, Tom? No one likes shoe shopping, but I have an excellent plan that's going to take us right past the new ice cream parlour. If you go with me, Mum won't mind letting us try it out. Derek likes my plan, but he likes ice cream more. We both do. We have half an hour before Mum wants us to leave, so playing with Rooster seems like a very good use of the time. While we're throwing a ball, I tell Derek all about my other grandparents, and he thinks they sound interesting as well. They were teachers, and now they leap out of planes, swim with sharks, and have adventures. They don't look like they've had adventures. They look like they have early nights and drink tea, I tell Derek. That's interesting, he says. Is it? Yes. Are they quite secretive as well? I don't know much about them, if that's what you mean. I explain. Even more interesting. I think your grandparents could be spies. Really? How come? Because I'm reading a really good book with spies in it, and they swim with sharks and jump out of planes as well. What do spies look like then? Like ordinary people who don't want to stand out, which makes sense. Maybe your mum and dad even know they're spies. They could be on a secret mission, Derek suggests. I hadn't thought about that at all. Derek's got me thinking. You'd get good marks for your school project if you had real spies in it, he adds. While we've been talking, Rooster found a pile of grass cuttings to roll in, which he does a lot. Rooster looks even more furry now. I asked Derek if he can take a photo so I can put it in my school project, which confuses him. How does Rooster fit in with spies? My project's on family, friends, that's you by the way, and all kind of furry creatures. I'll show you. I pick up some bits of grass and demonstrate what I mean. Look, I'm a furry creature. "Oh, Mrs. Worthington," Derek laughs and takes a photo of me, which gives me another idea. I collect up more grass cuttings and save them in an empty crisp packet for later. I can hear Mum calling us from the garden as she's ready to go shopping. "Tom, time to go home now. I'm ready to go." Derek looks as keen as I am to buy shoes. "Think of the ice cream," I remind him, which keeps us both going. The photo of Rooster cheers us up. Surprisingly, we find non-rasping shoes in no time at all, which is a huge relief, and they even fit me as well. Mum is very pleased I found the pair in the sale. "I love a bargain," she smiles. "All I have to do now is persuade her that a trip to the ice cream parlour is also an excellent idea." "If only there was an ice cream parlour nearby that we could go to," I say. "That would be amazing," I agree. Derek backs me up, then we both do a very good pleasing faces, and Mum gets the hint. Okay, you two, let's go," which is another big result. High five! But all my speedy decision-making instantly disappears when it comes to ice cream. Chocolate, strawberry, which one? Choosing what flavour to have is harder than anything else we've done so far. It takes a while, but I go for vanilla with caramel swirls. Derek picks chocolate. Mum always has the same flavour, peppermint, which shouldn't really be an ice cream, if you ask me. It's the only flavour I don't like so far. "It's delicious," Mum tells me. "It's not," I whisper. As we're walking out of the shopping centre, Derek and I both spot a photo booth. I know we've already had ice cream, but I'm going to ask anyway, or in this case do loud hinting. "Do you know what would help me with my project?" No. What, Tom?" "If I had a photo booth picture with you, my best friend, to put in my school project, how good would that be?" "Look over there, a photo booth." "So there is. You two, I get the message. We can do some photos, but only because the shoes were on sale." Derek and I do an ice cream high five. "Yes," Derek says he's glad he came with me now. "I've done this type of photo before, but only for official things like passports. You're not allowed to smile or eat ice cream in those pictures." Delia had to take off her sunglasses for hers and wasn't happy at all, which is normal for her. "Don't put the money in until your stool is at the right height. Can you see yourselves, boys?" Mum asks before she pulls the curtain. "Yes," I say, only she doesn't. "This is the last set. I'll stay out of the way this time," Mum says, wiping ice cream off her face. "These pictures are even better than the last ones." We head back home after a successful shopping trip, which is unusual. Derek goes back to his house and I finally get to relax, which I do while wearing my brand new non-rasping shoes on my nice comfy bed. I'm eating a chew bar I saved while looking at the ceiling, wondering if I'll ever be allowed to draw on it. It would look really good if I could, though it would be tricky too. Then the door opens and it makes me jump. I try to hide my new chew bar. "Tom, your Uncle Kevin's here. Can you go down and say hello?" Do I have to?" It's hard to talk with a mouthful of chew. "Yes, and please don't take ages either." Aww. When Uncle Kevin comes round unexpectedly, Mum and Dad say things like, "What a nice surprise." But I'm not entirely sure they mean it. I go downstairs after finishing the chew bar, and I can hear them chatting. Dad saying, "We weren't expecting to see you today, Kevin." "I sent you a message earlier. Didn't you see it?" Uncle Kevin asks him. "Sorry, I must have missed it. It's been very busy," Dad says, looking at his phone. Sometimes Dad ignores messages, depending on who they're from. "Hi, Uncle Kevin," I say in a cheery way, even though my relaxation has been disturbed. "Hi, Tom. What have you been up to then?" Uncle Kevin wants to know. Before I can say, "I was trying to relax," Mum answers for me. "Tom's been working very hard on his project for the family tree." "That's a thought, Tom. Why don't you go and bring your project down so Uncle Kevin can help you with the names you weren't sure about?" "You didn't know them either," I point out. "Uncle Kevin doesn't want to see my schoolwork, Tom." "Mum, I would love to," Uncle Kevin says, groan. "Off you go, chop chop," Mum says, trying to be encouraging, which makes me want to walk even slower. I go back upstairs and bring my project down. Uncle Kevin explains why he came over. I really need my power drill back to put up some pictures that I got. The one I lent you a while ago. Dad looks puzzled. Are you sure it's your power drill? I thought it was mine. Didn't I lend it to you? It's top of the range, expensive power drill. It's definitely mine. This could take a while, so I try and sneak out, which doesn't work. Tom, stay here. This won't take long. Mum puts her hand on my shoulder. Uncle Kevin and Dad often disagree about stuff. It happens a lot. I know it's mine, Frank. I'm not sure, but I'll go and find it. Dad goes off to look for what he's sure is his power drill, while Uncle Kevin talks to Mum. It's definitely mine, Rita. If you want to help Tom with his family tree, I'll go and help Frank find the power drill, Mum says, and off she goes. Right, Tom, let's have a look. Uncle Kevin starts making humming noises and crosses things out, which doesn't sound good. Another noise that I don't want to hear is Delia coming back, but she walks in at exactly the wrong moment. Hello, Uncle Kevin. Why are you here? She asks, slightly surprised. I'm picking up my power drill and helping Tom with his family tree, Uncle Kevin tells her. If Frank hasn't lost it, he's been gone for a while. Oh, the family tree. How is it going, Tom? Delia wants to know, which makes me suspicious. Fine. Why? So Uncle Kevin, has Tom told you to be part of the project yet? Because he told me he really wanted to interview you, and Auntie Alice as well. Didn't you, Tom? Huh? Delia's one sneaky sister. She knows I don't want to do loads of extra work. It's fine, Uncle Kevin. I don't need to interview everyone, I point out quickly. I'd love to be part of your project, Tom. I have lots of good stories to tell. Look at Tom's happy little face. Told you Uncle Kevin wouldn't mind. Delia knows this is driving me crazy. My sister is so annoying. If there was a chart of annoying people, she'd be right up there. Hello, I'm Delia and I'm annoying. So, Delia's at the top, most annoying person ever. Regularly annoying, Marcus Meldry. Can be annoying, Mr. Fullerman. Then Uncle Kevin looks at his watch and says, I've got an idea. Why don't you come over to our house to do your interviews now? Then I'll get you some photos for your project as well. This isn't how I wanted to spend my weekend at all, I'm about to say. I'm fine, thanks, Uncle Kevin. When Mum comes back and she only goes and agrees with him. What a great idea. You two can go ahead and I'll drop the drill round to your house once Frank's found it. He's still looking. I'll pick Tom up at the same time. That would work for us all, wouldn't it? No, not for me. I'm guessing Dad's lost the drill and needs more time to find it. At this rate, Tom, you'll have your whole project done in no time at all. How good is that, she asks me. I'm overjoyed. I collect up my stuff and then Uncle Kevin and I head off to his car. I'll see you later, Mum says to me, waving. At the cousin's house, even though they're not there. Uncle Kevin's car is a lot cleaner than ours, and he's got heated seats, which he asks me not to play with when we get to the house. When we get to the house, he calls, Alice, guess who's here? Whoever it is, I hope they can put up pictures, she shouts back. I can try. Auntie Alice looks surprised to see me. Oh, hello, Tom. Your cousins aren't here, I'm afraid. I know, I say. Then Uncle Kevin explains. Tom's doing a project and he wants to interview us. Is that before or after we put up the pictures? Auntie Alice asks him. Before, obviously. Then I explain helpfully. Dad's still looking for the drill at house. I think he's lost it, which is typical, Uncle Kevin adds. We could just use the hammer and nails. It might be easier, Auntie Alice suggests. I better get those photos for Tom, Uncle Kevin says, and disappears like he doesn't want to put up pictures at all. I have to stand there feeling a bit awkward until Auntie Alice has a very good suggestion. Would you like a drink or snack, Tom? Silly question, really. Both, please. The good thing about coming here is that there's always an excellent section of treats, and today is no exception. Even better, I get to pick what I want first, as the cousins aren't here, but I'm very nice and leave them the fruit. Uncle Kevin has got out the photo album to show me, so I let them have a look at the family tree I've done so far. Right, Tom, let me answer some of your questions, shall we? In between mouthfuls of wafer, I find out what Auntie Alice's hobby is, collecting pebbles and painting different birds on them. Random. What kind of birds do you paint, I want to know? I'll show you. Auntie Alice goes and gets a selection of what she thinks are her best stones. I've seen them around our house, but I didn't know Auntie Alice made them. I might even have played with them. Let battle commence. She brings the stones back on a pillow and tells me they're very precious and take a long time to make. We keep them nice and safe so they don't get chipped or damaged. I've given a few to your mum and dad, she adds. I've never seen them, I think. I think I have. Who knew? Uncle Kevin gets out some photos he thinks I might be interested in. There's one of Uncle Kevin and Dad when they were at school, and Uncle Kevin's holding a very big trophy. What was that for? I asked him. I won most improved at sports. Is that a good thing to win, I wonder? It was a trophy, so I was very happy, he explains. You can't tell, I say. I also learnt an important lesson in life that day. What? Don't hold a trophy in front of your face when you have a photo taken. No, Tom. This photo represents a crucial moment when I learnt how to deal with the crushing disappointment of not meeting my footballing hero, Brian Cliff. Okay, so how comes my dad looks almost happy, I ask. Your dad was just pleased to get the day off school. I get that. You should put this story in your project. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I grab another snack, as this could take a while. It does. Will Dad remember this photo? I ask when he's finished. I think so. Uncle Kevin lets me keep it for my project, along with a few pictures too. Then Auntie Alice and Uncle Kevin finish answering my questions, which means I'm all ready to go when Dad comes to pick me up with a power drill. I thought I'd bring it myself, he says, handing it over. I'm sorry about the delay. It was buried under a box of other things. Thanks, Frank. Okay, hang on. It's still got a price on it, Uncle Kevin says. Dad pretends not to hear. Thanks, Frank. We could have just used a hammer and nails. Now you tell me. Uncle Kevin is already checking the drill over. This is better anyway. We've had a great time, haven't we, Tom? We have. It's a shame your cousins weren't here. They'll be sorry to have missed you. I think they'll be more sorry about missing the good snacks, I point out, which makes everyone laugh. But they know it's true. I left 3 for the cousins, 1 each. On the way home, I told Dad the story that Uncle Kevin told me, and he can't stop laughing. I'm not sure why. He's still laughing. When we get home, what's so funny about the story, I want to know. Kevin's version isn't exactly what really happened, Dad tells me, which sounds interesting. So I showed Dad the photo. Uncle Kevin said I could use it for my project, I say, which makes Dad laugh again. Ha ha ha! Let me tell you about that photo, Dad says, as I get ready to take notes. He chats away telling me everything that happened and lots of other stuff too. I even find out how Mum and Dad met, which is also quite funny. If you skip out the soppy bits, I'm going to ask Mum the same question because her side of the story might be different to Dad's. I bet it is. To make sure Mum and Dad know how much extra work I've done on my school project, I make a list of what I've done so far, along with a list of everything I need to bring to school. Then I stick it on the fridge where they'll see it. Mum and Dad will instantly be proud of me and probably want to give me treats. That's my plan. On top of the fridge, I suddenly notice a tin of mini caramel wafers, not very well hidden. I'm hoping they're for me. Well done, Tom. Treat. I try not to get too excited. For now. Yum yum. Back to school. Knowing that I haven't forgotten anything as I walk to school with Derek is a very different experience for me. Thanks to my list, my new non-rasping shoes are working out well. Derek thinks so too. Nice quiet shoes. Mum and Dad are very impressed with all the hard work I did at the weekend on my school project, which is good news for me as I get closer to eating those mini wafers. I'm sure Mum and Dad are saving them as my treat, I tell Derek. Look at you. Derek has finished his book and is even more convinced that my grandparents could be spies. In the story, the spies travelled using their old age as a cover-up for all their spying activities. I'm definitely going to ask the Wrinkleys if the Wrinkleys are spies then, I tell Derek, as I might get more merits for including interesting family facts. In class, I hand over my baby picture to Mr. Fullerman. He only goes and holds it up for the whole class to see. Can anyone guess who this is? Everyone shouts out. It's Tom. You look exactly the same, Amy laughs. You still have the baby drill too, Marcus joins in. It could be a long week. Sigh. My school project. Over the next few days we all work very hard to get our projects finished for the open day. I've added Marcus to my friends section, as he's already put me in his project. I didn't mind as it gave me the chance to write about my earliest memory of meeting him. I'm finding out all the time that some people remember things in very different ways, like Marcus. That never happened. But the good thing is I've been able to write down all the most interesting bits, including how my grandparents might be spies. My project has ended up being, I think, furry-tastic. And I still have some stars and special tape left over, which I'm sure I can put to very good use on lots of other things. But for now, enjoy. Furry feature after. My school project, family, friends and furry creatures. Tom Gates. Yeah, this part of my project is about my family and a bit about me too. The Gates family. Tom Gates. I was a cute baby. Question, answer, my comments. Question. What's your favourite colour? Answer. Blue sky. Blue. My comments and notes. Definitely not grey. Question. What are your hobbies? Answer. Being in a band and doodling a lot. Question. Do you have any other brothers or sisters? I do. One sister, Grumpy Delia. Question. What do you want to be when you grow up? Answer. Taller. But I'm not sure that's what they wanted me to put. When I grow up, I want to be. I've thought about this a lot, and I decided that I would make an excellent spy. I've recently found out that there are 2 spies in my family already. Keep that quiet. So I wouldn't be the only one. The reason I would make a good spy is I'm brilliant at keeping secrets unless someone is tickling me. I'm really hungry and a wafer gets wafted under my nose. I'd blab pretty fast then. But with practice I'd learn to resist. I've kept loads of secrets to myself. Some things I haven't even told Derek about, and he's my best friend. I didn't tell him for ages when Dad sold Mum's very precious cat brooch at the car boot sale for only £1. Dad was panicking a lot, but eventually I found the brooch in a charity shop. Spies need to be good at finding things like that. The fossils helped me to buy it back, but I kind of saved the day. Another thing I've kept quiet is Delia doesn't like scones, which might not sound like a big deal, but it is, because Mum used to put them in a school lunchbox all the time, and Delia would just swap them for something with her friends, for something she thought was nicer, which was anything. Swap that pine cone for a scone. Sometimes she'd give them to me, but I love scones, so that was okay. I also have excellent ninja skills that I put to good use sneaking around school when I'm not supposed to be there. I'm very good at eating crisps quite really quietly. That might not seem like the best spy skill to have, but I'm sure it could come in handy. I've lost him. Crisps munch quietly. Finally, I already have my spy name worked out. I'd call myself Setag Mott. It's in code. My earliest memory, a true story. One of my earliest memories was when Delia broke our TV screen and blamed it on me. Now I'm older, it's nice to be able to set the record straight. Here's what happened. I was only little, sitting on a nice soft rug playing with my toys. One of the toys was a ball. Dad had been rolling it to me. When I rolled it back to him, Delia was sitting on the sofa watching us. When Dad turned around to do something else, Delia took the ball and threw it up, which toppled over into the TV screen. There was a dull thud as the vase hit the screen, and a crack slowly appeared. It got bigger as it travelled up the glass, and that's when Dad turned round. "Oh no, Tom, what happened here?" he said, looking at the TV. Delia pointed at me and said, "Tom threw my ball." I was more cross than she said it was her ball, so I said, when I shouted, Me, when I should have said, mine. Dad thought I'd thrown the ball and Delia just kept quiet. She'd probably deny everything even now, but I know what really happened, and so does she. The end. Delia, Rita, Gates. Little bit grumpy. Delia now, well grumpy. My questions. What's your earliest memory? Being an only child, there was more space and more wafers, all for me. What is your favourite biscuit? Any caramel wafer, especially if it's the last one and Tom wants it. What superpower would you want? Being invisible. My mum, Rita Ann Gates. My mum gave me this. Uncle Kevin gave me these pictures. He said this was when Mum had a perm. Her hair is massive. Questions. You have two children. Who's your favourite? I don't have favourites. I love you both equally. What's your favourite food that Granny Mavis makes? Okay, Granny makes nice scones as long as she doesn't add chilli. Why did you marry Dad? Just curious. He made me laugh and he had good hair. Now he has good hats. Ha 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 ha. My dad, Frank Daniel Gates. Questions. You have two children. Who's your favourite? Ha ha, nice try, Tom. We love you both. What did you want to be when you grew up? Good question. I wanted to be in a band and I also wanted to be a train driver. Who would win in a race, you or Uncle Kevin? Me, obviously, unless Uncle Kevin cheats, which is possible. How my mum and dad met. When I was interviewing my dad, he told me how he first met Mum. I asked Mum her side of the story too, which is a bit different from Dad's. I've missed out the soppy bits because no one wants to read that stuff. Here's a picture of Mum that shows me what she looked like. And here's Mum now. She hasn't changed much, mostly because she has all her own hair, unlike Dad. Here's Dad then, here's Dad now. A long time ago, because my parents are quite old, Dad worked for a company as a junior designer and Mum did a very important job. But I can't remember what it is. Probably something to do with taxis, because that's what she does now. Mum's always on the phone. Hello, about your taxes. Computer and the phone. Anyway, back to the story. Their offices were next door to each other. Mum's fancy pants one and Dad's small office. They both ate lunch in the nearby cafe, and that's when Dad noticed Mum. Mum would order a healthy lunch like a salad, that kind of thing. Dad didn't like salad. He liked sausages, chips and beans. Me too. Dad thought if he ate the same food as Mum, she'd notice him and think they had something in common. How sad is that? Very. So every time Dad saw Mum, he ordered a salad or something healthy and then tried to say hello to her. Mum told me she'd say hello back, but had no idea Dad was trying to impress her with his lunch choices. Eventually, Dad got fed up of eating salad and decided to just ask Mum out instead. At this point, I should be saying, and the rest is history. But there's more. When Dad asked her out, things didn't quite go to plan. He said, "Would you like to go out for dinner tonight?" Then Mum started to say, "No, I'm not," and Dad thought she was saying no to him and didn't stick around to hear the rest of the sentence. Not listening properly still happens a lot in our family. Mum told me she was going to say no, I'm not free tonight, but let's go out tomorrow instead. But she never got the chance. If it wasn't for the cafe owner, they might not have been the end of the story. It's not. He saw what happened and told Mum where Dad worked. Mum wrote a note and put her phone number on it. Then she bought a slice of cake and put them both in a box and took it to his office, where she left the cake and note for Dad. But someone else ate the cake and threw the box with the note away in a bin. Mum was expecting a call at least to say thanks for the cake. That didn't happen. She heard nothing. Dad was busy avoiding the cafe and Mum. Then he went in, when Mum wasn't there, to get chips, and the owner asked Dad if he got the note and cake that Mum sent. What note? What cake? Dad wanted to know. This was all news to him. Then he panicked and rushed back to his office and tried at least find the box which had been thrown into the big outdoor bin that smelled. Eventually he found the note and called Mum up, pretending he'd been really busy. He hadn't. They finally went on a date, but I'm not writing about that bit. Yuck. Mum and Dad got married, then they had Delia first and me next, their favourite child. Mum and Dad never say that, but I'm not as grumpy as Delia, and so there's not much competition. The end. Here are some other photos Uncle Kevin said would be very good for my school project, especially as it's furry creatures in it. I agree. I never knew Dad had so many different hairstyles when he was younger, and when he had hair. Dad looks a bit like Delia here. Lol. Uncle Kevin said they were at a wedding, and Dad wasn't pleased with his outfit. Haha, I can see why. Can you guess who these two are? It was the fossils when they were young. My Granny Mavis, Ethel Gates. Granny as a small girl holding a worm. My question, what did you want to be when you grew up? A lion tamer or maybe a gardener? What's your favourite food? I just made some delicious cheese and onion ice cream. Who's your favourite grandchild? I love you equally. My granddad, Bob Robert Edward Gates. Haha, Granddad hasn't changed. My question, did you like school and can you doodle? Tell me a good joke. Knock knock. Who's there? A Tish. A Tishu. Bless you. When Grandad told me this joke, his teeth nearly flew out of his mouth. You have 2 sons. Who's the nicest? Nice try, Tom. Nothing gets past Grandad. Ha ha ha. My other grandparents travel a lot, so I don't really know them that well. But from what Mum and Dad and Delia had been telling me, they sound interesting. Swimming with sharks, jumping out of planes, that kind of thing. I found this postcard, so I'm sticking it in because Derek thinks there's a reason they travel all the time. See you next page. Reading this postcard. Hello, someone has promised to take this ashore and post it, so I hope it gets to you. We're still on a boat having wonderful adventures. We've learnt how to scuba dive and do martial arts, which might come in handy one day. You'll never know. See you very soon. Love, Grandma and Grandad. Reading this postcard makes me think that Derek could be right about them being spies. I'm going to leave some space in my project in case they come home, as I'll be able to ask them questions and write down any good stories, though some answers might have to be top secret. I can blank things out like, my granny's pet is a... And she went on a special where she... And it all went very well. Her code name is... That way, no one will know any important secret stuff. The Wrinklies, my other grandparents. Empty space for any interesting facts I find out about them if they come home. If they don't have anything good to tell me like this, then I'll use the page for doodling instead. My auntie, Alice April Gates. My question, what's your favourite food? Anything I don't have to cook apart from Granny Mavis's treats. What's your earliest memory? Going to the seaside and a big seagull stealing my ice cream. Do you have any hobbies? Painting stones with birds. My uncle, Kevin Morris Gates. What's your favourite biscuit? It's an oatcake. If you were in charge for a day and could do anything, what would you do? I'd print a load of money, keep most of it, then share some out. What would you do? What did you want to be when you grew up? Astronaut. Wow, I wasn't expecting that answer. Here's a photo of Uncle Kevin and my dad at school. They both have different versions of the same story. Here's what Uncle Kevin told me. Uncle Kevin's story, in his own words. Imagine he's talking at you. I was very proud of winning the Most Improved at Sports trophy and looking forward to picking it up from the world-famous footballer Brian Clough. He was going to present it to me at the new sports centre, which is a huge honour, and I was very excited to meet my hero. My little brother Frank, your dad, was allowed to come with me as both our parents had to work that day. Frank was supposed to be helping out by taking a few photos of me with the trophy. Only he forgot the camera. That was the first thing that went wrong. We got on the bus nice and early as not to be late, looking all smart and ready for the ceremony. Then I noticed a group of noisy kids who were messing around and being very silly. I told Frank to stay at the front of the bus to avoid them. We watched the kids kept pressing the buzzer and making the bus stop. It was going ping, 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 and the bus driver wasn't happy at all. You lot stop pressing the bell. If any of you do that again, you'll be getting off the bus, he told the kids, who carried on larking around. Frank and I tried to keep away from them as much as possible, but they only went and pressed the buzzer again. The driver stopped the bus, got out of his seat and said, "Right, that's it, I've had enough of your nonsense." Then he told the kids to get off and wait for the next bus. I didn't think he meant me and Frank, but he did. I tried to tell him he'd made a mistake. "It wasn't us," I shouted. The driver didn't listen. He made all of us get off and wait for the next bus, which took ages. None of the noisy kids admitted to pressing the buzzer. I was so late that I missed the whole prize-giving ceremony, and worse than that, I missed Brian Clough, who had to leave for another appointment. I was gutted. The teachers gave me my trophy, but it wasn't the same. Frank went to take a photo, but as he'd forgotten the camera, someone else took one when I wasn't concentrating. Frank looks happier than me. I was pleased too, but that day was supposed to be fantastic, and it didn't turn out that way at all. The end. It's not the most interesting story until you read my dad's version, then it gets better. Dad's side of the story in his own words. I was so happy to be out of school for the morning that I didn't even mind being bossed around by Kevin. We were going on the bus early to a special ceremony where Kevin was being presented with a sports trophy he'd won for something not very impressive. I'd been given a camera to take photos, which was a good idea, but I left it at home. I only found out that out later. I never heard of Brian Clough, the footballer, but Kevin was a huge fan and wanted to make sure we were there on time. When we got on the bus, Kevin told me to avoid a noisy group of kids he thought looked a bit rowdy. I didn't think they were that bad, until they kept pressing the buzzer to make the driver stop, not just once, but loads of times. I had to hold on to the pole really tight not to fall over. After about the 10th time they pressed the buzzer, the bus driver lost it and told them all to get off and wait for the next bus. It was only when I let go of the pole and moved my hand that I realised it must have been me who had been pressing the buzzer the whole time. I kept very quiet and didn't make a fuss when the driver made us get off too. Kevin was really cross because the next bus was late and he ended up missing Brian Clough. I felt pretty bad that I couldn't take a photo either. I hope he see the funny side of things now all these years later. How funny is that? Very. This part of my project is all about my friends. Not all of them. That would take too long. I do and Marcus, as he only went and put me in his project, though it did give me a chance to remember how we first met. My best friend Derek. Name, Derek, Eric, Fingal. My question, do you have a best friend? Just checking. Let me think. Rooster? Okay, it's you, Tom. Yeah, that's me. What's your favourite band? I love Do 3. Foot Fighters. Our band too. Tell me something about Rooster. Dad was about to go away on a business trip when Rooster stole his password and ate it. Middle name, Solomon. Name, Solomon Sam Stewart. My question, have you always been really tall and what's the best thing about it? Yes, seeing over kids' heads. Know any good jokes? What do you call a sad strawberry? A blueberry. Good joke. What's your favourite food? Carrots. Name, Norman Neil Watson. What superpower would you want? I'd have super strength and be really fast too. What's your favourite food? Pasta, custard, barbecue, chips, hot bread, frozen peas. Tell me a good joke. What do you call an alligator wearing a vest? An investigator. Name, Amy J. Porter. What's your earliest memory? Being sick on my mum. I wasn't expecting that answer. Tell me a good joke. What animal can jump higher than a building? Any animal. Buildings can't jump. What's your favourite snack? Toasted cheese sandwiches. Not exactly a snack, but I'll let it go past. Name, Marcus Orin Meldrew. What's your earliest memory? Being told I'm a genius. What superpower would you have? I'd be the most powerful magician ever. What's your favourite animal? A dog, of course. My earliest memory of Marcus. I first met Marcus Meldrew at a nursery school. He looked pretty much the same as he does now, only smaller and maybe slightly less grumpy. Marcus started nursery a few weeks later than everyone else. I don't know why, so the other kids got to know each other a little when Marcus was introduced to the class. He stood next to our teacher, Mrs. Tickley. That really was her name, while she said, "Everyone, this is Marcus Meldrew who is joining us today." "Hello." We all waved and said hello back. Then she told us we should be really nice and welcoming to Marcus and make him feel happy to be here, as he didn't know anyone, which would have been a lot easier for me if he hadn't pinched my coat hook. Mine had a picture of a spaceship on it. I picked it out especially because it looked excellent. Marcus thought so too, and just went and helped himself to my hook. Obviously, I went and told Mrs. Tickley straight away that the new boy had made a terrible mistake and only gone and taken my spaceship hook. Mrs. Tickley said, "Oh dear." Then she took me aside and said it would be really kind and thoughtful, especially as it was Marcus's first day, if I would let him keep the hook, and she promised to find me another one. It would just be as special as the spaceship, Tom. Would you mind? I said, okay. But inside I minded a lot. When Miss Tickley showed me my new coat hook, things got worse. It was a picture of a carrot, and not even a nice one. It was only little, but even I knew that a carrot was not a good swap for a spaceship, ever, unless you were a rabbit. I would have preferred a rabbit for my hook. I looked at the carrot and decided the only way to make the carrot better was to draw a face on it, which made the carrot look a lot better. I thought so anyway. I was standing back admiring my drawing when Marcus Meldrew wanted to see what I'd been doing. You'll get into trouble for drawing on that hook, he told me. I hadn't thought of that. I won't tell anyone, I said, not wanting to get into trouble. I wasn't banking on the new boy blabbing to Miss Tickley quite so fast. Miss Tickley said I could keep the hook and my drawing on it, but I mustn't draw on anything like that again. I agreed. Lots of kids liked my carrot's face hook, told me I was good at drawing, so that was nice. When I asked Marcus if he remembered pinching my coat hook at nursery, he thought I was making it up. Why am I surprised? Since nursery school, some things haven't changed. I still love drawing and Marcus can still be annoying. The end. Now for some furry creatures. So many. Here is a picture of my friend Derek's dog Rooster, who is already furry, with extra fur for no other reason than it made us laugh. Furry creature facts. Chinchillas don't shed their fur. When they are stressed or scared, they have fur slip and loose sit in clumps. Here's what could happen. Chinchillas can also jump up to 6 feet in the air. A housefly hums in the key of F. A tarantula spider can survive for more than 2 years without food. Cats sleep for 70% of their lives. Thank you for reading my school project. I hope I get a lot of merits. If my mum and dad are reading this, some mini wafers would be an excellent treat for my homework. School open day. Normally I try and put mum and dad off coming to an open day, but this time I didn't mind as most of my work is okay, and even finished, which makes a change. I think my school project might be the best thing I've ever done in my whole entire life at school. Thank you. The last few days I've noticed that Mum has been tidying up a lot more than usual. Right now she's trying to take away my breakfast before I've finished. I remind Mum that open day is today and also that I'm a helper in staying late. I won't be coming home straight away, remember? What do you mean you're not coming home? Mum says in a slightly snappy way until she remembers. Oh yes, sorry Tom, of course, you're a helper. Then Dan joins in and tries to be funny. We'll see you in school, Tom. I've got my yellow bird outfit all ready so you won't miss me. I know he's joking. Ha ha, very funny, Dad, I say. We might have another surprise for you, Dad says, winking at me. Frank, we agreed not to say anything yet, Mum says quickly. What surprise, I ask, even though I know about the tin and mini wafers. We're both looking forward to seeing your project finished, that's all, Mum says, cleaning up some more. As I'm getting ready to leave for school, Delia walks past me. Have Mum and Dad said anything to you about what's going on today? She asks. No, what? Doesn't matter. It's nothing. Oh, I just remembered. Dad says he's going to wear his yellow bird outfit to your school open day. Have fun, she laughs. He's joking, I tell Delia. I really hope he is. Dad better not come dressed up as a chicken. I'm sure he won't. All the way to school, I keep thinking about what Dad could be wearing. I didn't see any costumes around the house, unless he hired one for later. That won't happen, I'm sure. Dad in a burger outfit. Being a helper for the open day stops me from thinking about Dad's possible costume shame. It was a good idea to help out because I get to leave class early and wear an important badge, Helper Tom, and show new parents and kids around the school while telling them all about it. Well, maybe not everything. I explain about the school projects. This is where the school projects are displayed. It's also the dinner hall, so it does smell in there. Feel free to look around. I hang about a bit and notice that quite a few people and kids are reading my project and laughing, which I think is a good sign. For future merits and hopefully mini wafers too, though I'm not sure which bits are so funny. Maybe the furry creatures? In between showing other parents and kids around school, I practice my surprise face. This is especially for when Mum and Dad finally get to see my finished project. I'm hoping they'll be so happy. They'll instantly promise me the wafers when we get home. Then I'll say, really, like I had no idea they were for me, and do the face, like this. Pansy Bennett brings more parents round and wonders what I'm doing. Are you okay, Tom? She asks. I'm fine. Just happy because my school project's done and displayed over with all the others. Some projects are better than the rest, I add, because it's true. As more parents come and go, Mr. Fullerman joins us in the hall and starts chatting to everyone. When my mum and dad arrive, I'm just pleased to see Dad's not wearing a bird suit or a burger suit. But straight away, they both start talking to Mr. Fullerman, who tells them, Tom's written some great stories for his project, and he's worked really hard, haven't you, Tom? I have, I agree. It's full of interesting facts on your family, he adds. Oh, good, Mum says, looking at me and smiling. So lucky to find your brooch again, and how exciting to have spies in the family too, isn't it? Mr. Fullerman says. What have you been writing about, Tom? Lots of things, I tell them. Mum and Dad look confused now and want to read my project. I'm not sure if they're enjoying it. Uh-oh. Look, Rita. That's why Mr. Fullerman thought they were spies. So it was Delia who broke the TV. I do like salad, by the way. Frank, you saw my brooch? For £1. Delia doesn't like scones? I needn't have worried. Mum and Dad weren't expecting to read so much about the family, but they do seem to like it in the end. Although Mum isn't happy about her brooch and keeps saying, you sold it for £1 over and over again, I think my school project is a total success. Mostly. On the way home, Mum and Dad start asking me question after question. Things like, when exactly did you sneak into school and use your ninja skills then? I managed to avoid answering by asking a question back to them. Are we getting a takeaway tonight for a special treat? Which works. Probably, unless your Granny Mavis has cooked for us, Mum says. That's a good reason to get a takeaway, isn't it? Dad says. He's got a point. I'm still hoping the wafers will make an appearance as well, but I'm ready to do some more serious hinting if I need to. When we all get back, the Fossils are already there and they've made the house look really nice with flowers and the table laid out. It's like we've having a celebration, all because of my good school project, which they're very keen to see. As they're reading it, Dad says, maybe don't mention to Kevin that it was me who rang the bell on the bus all those years ago, which they look surprised about. We have to wait for Delia before we can order the takeaway, so for a change I'm actually pleased to see her. Now all we have to do is wait for it to arrive. Mum must be as hungry as I am, because every time a car or bike goes past, she jumps up to see if the food's here. When it does come, the speed she opens the door at it is pretty impressive. Mum and Dad have ordered loads more takeaways than we normally get. I'm not complaining, but Dad still spots that his dish is missing. Where's my chicken? You can have some of mine, Frank. It doesn't look like we need the extra food after all. Mum says, I decide to tell everyone that I'm going to leave some spaces, just in case there are treats for after, like mini wafer-sized treats, especially for anyone who does a very good school project, I add. You'll be lucky, Delia says. I hope she hasn't eaten the wafers already. Then Mum starts asking Delia why she never said anything about not liking scones, and while that conversation's going on, the doorbell goes off again. This time Dad gets up. That'll be my missing chicken dish, I hope, he says and goes out to get it. I love scones with chilli, Granny Mavis tells us. No one else does. Now Mum wants to know why I thought her parents were spies, because Derek's got a book about spies, and everything the spies do, your parents do too. Travelling, swimming with sharks, being secretive, I explain. I don't think that makes them spies, Tom, Mum tells me, as Dad comes back and interrupts us. Well, guess what, everyone? Dad says you can ask them yourselves now. And in walks two people I've never seen before. Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be home at last. It's only when Mum gasps and starts hugging them that I guess it must be my other grandparents, the Wrinkleys. I didn't think you were coming, Mum says, followed by, you both look so different. Dad, you've got more hair. Isn't it great, he says. They don't look anything like that old photo. The Fossils are happy to see them as well. Granny Pet and Grandad Joe tell me I've got so tall and very handsome. True, Delia has grown up a lot as well, which is a nice way of saying she looks a lot more grumpy than last time. After this big surprise, they come and join us for dinner, and Granny Petula says they're going to stay for a while and rent a house, which is good news, as it's my birthday soon, so I might get double grandparents' presents after all. I don't say that, though. I do ask them what I think is a very important question. Everyone stops chatting to hear their answer. You know how you've both been away for so long? What I really want to know is, have you ever tried a mini caramel wafer? Because they are really nice and I think you'd like them. Delia groans, but I think it's important to show them all the things they might have missed out on so long. I was right. They really did like them. Yum. These are the mini ones. Very nice. They even show them how to do the wafer trick, which is the empty wafer. A, B or C. I think it's going to be fun getting to know my other grandparents before they go away again. If they do go away. Oh, by the way, the answer is C.